to part 3 of our Dia de los Muertos color along, and today we are going to be doing some of the accessories. So I'm going to start off with the flowers in her hair. We will also be doing her shirt, and then I'm thinking this little candle bowl that she's holding, and then everything else will be in part 4. And I'm still not sure about eye color, so I think I'm going to save that for the final part. So, not much of an intro for this one. Let's dive in. I do want to say that the flowers, or the roses I suppose, are inspired by one of Hannah's trading cards, and I will try and put a picture of it right here. So I'm going to try my best to kind of base these roses off of the ones in that image, except I'm going to be putting in a little bit of purple and pink as well as the blue, and then the leaves are just going to have green accents to them. So for now we're going to go in with the black. And roses can be really hard to kind of tell what's going on here. We're going to start with this one. So this little piece right here is definitely part of a folded petal. So underneath here is going to be fairly dark. So I'm just going to create a line of dark on the bottom and then underneath this petal. And I'm just going to fade it in. Okay, so this part right here is also coming up. It's part of this petal. So this is going to be dark. And then this part is going to be fairly dark too, so I'm just going to lightly blush in a little bit of dark here and then fade it out. Let's see here. This part is coming up on this petal where it folds out, so this is also going to be dark in here. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to darken up underneath where the petal folds, and then I'm going to darken up where it comes out from behind this other petal. Then I'm just going to fade it in the middle. Let's see, I'm going to add a little bit of dark here on this one. Just kind of coming up like that and then fade it out. I'm not quite sure about this part here. I'm not sure what it is, so I'm just going to darken up the line between those two and then fade that out as well. And then I'm also going to darken up all behind here. Fade it up. So in here it's going to be darker right here. I think that's all the black for this rose, so let's move on to this one now. Let's see, maybe I can zoom in a little bit more for you guys. Perfect. Alright, so I'm going to switch to this rose, and I'm going to create a black line underneath that petal and at the base of the petal, and then fade it into each other. I'm going to make this part black too, and add just a tiny little bit of black on this line, and then fade it out a little bit. Maybe a little bit here in this swirl too, and maybe right here. And I think I'll leave it for that rose, and then we'll move to this one. This one's really confusing, so I'm just kind of going to wing it. I'm going to put in some black underneath here and here, fade them up together. So this is going to be the petal folding over. This petal is folding over here, so we're going to add a little bit of black in on this one, fade it up. Just gonna put just a little bit of black in this little center petal here, in the very middle. And I think we'll call that good for now. Let's do the leaves too. So for the leaves, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go just slightly over these lines that Hannah's drawn in as veins for the leaves. So I'm just going to bring the black out just a little bit further than Hannah's brought those lines, but then I'm going to fade them out. I don't want to add too much more black to these leaves because they're pretty small. I'll just keep going like that, I think. I should have looked at a picture before starting this because I'm not sure in some places what's leaf and what's petal. So like this part right here, I'm not really sure what this is supposed to be. This little triangle, or this little one here, or this one. Or same with up here, I'm not sure what is what. So I'm just going to stop and look at a picture quick here. So what I do when I can't figure out what something is I'll usually look at multiple pictures and see how other people have done them. So, and then I won't always follow what those other people do. If it doesn't look right to me, then I'll usually kind of figure it out on my own. So this little piece here is going to be part of the background. This, I'm just going to add a little bit of black shadow to it just so I know that that's going to be part of the rose. This little piece here, I'm just going to black that out completely. This piece here is going to be part of the leaf. And this piece here, I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow on that. That is going to be part of this rose. And this piece here is going to be part of the leaf, I think. Okay, so now that we've got our black in, I think what I want to do is I'm going to go in with the hot pink. And I'm just going to just very lightly put little bits of this on just some of these petals, just kind of randomly. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with the non-photo blue and do the same thing on some of the other leaves, or petals. Little tiny bits here and there, just so I know what color each rose is going to be. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with the 90% warm gray. I'm going to sharpen that up quick too. going to start fading in from the areas where I put my black. And I'm just going to lightly bring it up and just keep layering it to kind of match it with the darkness and slowly start fading it in to where these colors are going to be. That's really, really light in here. And I can still add quite a few layers. I'm going to put a dark line here and then fade it upwards. And then just lightly fade it this way. I'm going to leave a little bit of white here to add some more pink. Pretty much just going to keep doing that. Just lightly fading upwards. Just until we hit that color. And I'm going to do the same for all these other roses as well. And I apologize for my crazy child and his loudness. We're getting close to winter here. It hasn't really been the nicest outside, so he's been stuck inside and he is not enjoying it. Okay, now look how that's looking. Okay, I just have to deal with my little minion there. So I think now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with the Dahlia Purple. I'm going to sharpen that one quick. And just on these lines where we go from the gray into the pink, I'm just going to blush in some of this purple. Now I am going over the gray, but I'm not going completely into the pink. I want to keep that part light. I'm going to grab my hot pink here and just forgot to do the tip of that flower. And then I'm going to go in with the Copenhagen Blue and just do the same thing on the blue petals. Now that I've kind of got the colors mapped out here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in with the black and I'm going to start really darkening up these flowers. So I'm going to start in the center, and I'm just going to make sure that anywhere where these petals come in from behind something else is dark. For this part, I'm not adding much black into anywhere. I'm mostly just going along the lines and just bringing out the shadow a little bit and darkening up the edges. So next I'm going to go back to the warm gray and all these little spots here where it's just going to be black petal. I'm going to go in with the warm gray and just kind of slowly build up some layers until they're pretty much burnished. Okay, now that I got that, I'm going to fade this up some more in these areas that we put the gray, but I'm going to press just a little bit firmer, not too hard, just enough to get a good layer of color down. I'm going to go just a little bit closer to the colors, but still leaving just a little bit of room for the color to be. Now let's switch to our hot pink, and I'm going to put a firm layer down just on the ends of these. I'm going to blend it into the gray just a little bit.
Hi.
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 Dahlia Purple and just blend on the line of that gray. I'm going to slightly just go over the pink just to darken it up a little bit. I don't want it to be too bright. Okay, then we're going to go back in with the warm gray. And just going to go over the areas that are closest to the lines. And then we're going to fade up, but put just a light layer over the whole petal. So firmer pressure in around any of the darker lines, like where your shadows are, and then fade your pressure and just come up and put a very light layer over the rest of the petal. I forgot about this little part here, so I'm going to go back in with the hot pink here, and then the Dahlia Purple, and just kind of repeat those steps. Oh, it's black. And then back with the 90% warm gray and just kind of go over it a little bit. Okay, so lastly for the pink parts, I'm going to go back in with the hot pink, and I'm just going to blush a little bit more on. Fade it into the rest of the petal slightly. I could probably still put one or two more layers on the lighter parts of these petals, but for the most part everything else is pretty much burnished. Okay, so now let's work on the blue. So we're going to go in with the non-photo blue. Darken it up and then fade it out towards the gray. And after doing that, we're going to go back in with the Copenhagen. We're going to fade from the gray up into the photo blue and then slightly go over the photo blue just to knock the color back slightly. Okay, and then next we're going to go back in with the warm gray, and we're going to darken up our shadows and just very lightly go over our blues. And then we'll go back in with our non-photo blue and just lightly fade back into that gray. Okay, so now to finish off the flowers, we're going to go in with the white. I'm going to start with the pink ones. I'm just going to just add a line of white just on the lightest part here. Okay, I'm going to clean my pencil off and then do the same thing with the blue highlights. Okay, and for these black areas, I am just going to go in with my blending pencil and just kind of burnish them that way. Just because there's quite a little bit of white still showing through. And I want them to look a little bit darker. So now our roses are pretty shiny. They're pretty much fully burnished, but I think I like the way that they turned out. So now let's move on with our leaves. So we'll come in with the 90% warm gray and just going to fade it out to the ends. We're going to leave little bits of white at the ends for the green to sit on. And I do believe this was going to be part of the flower and I totally forgot, so let's just color that in with the gray. Okay, so we're happy with that. We're going to come in with the...
My dad?
Almost, baby.
Almost?
Almost.
Stop, mommy.
What?
Stop, mommy.
I don't know what you're saying. Go play for now, please. Come on. You're not supposed to be in here. Turkey butt.
No, you're tortilla food.
Okay, so now we're going to come in with the pale sage and just going to put some in on the outsides and fade it into the gray a little bit. Once we're done with that, we're going to go in with our spring green. And we're going to blend from the gray into the pale sage. Now that we've got our color in there, let's fade back to the black. And I'm just going to darken up the veins of the leaves. What are you doing, kitty kitty? Trying to get into stuff. We're going to switch back to our warm gray and just feed it into the center and out towards the ends. We're going to switch back to our spring green. And once again, we're going to fade into the gray, just slightly. Okay, and I'm going to take my blender pencil and just kind of blend in the centers here where the gray is. I think I'm going to leave it just as it is. I think I like that. So there are the roses in her hair. Okay, so next we're going to be tackling her shirt, and I've been playing around with different color ideas, and I think what I'm going to go with is black, just because it'll kind of go with everything. What are you doing, you crazy cat? So I have my black, my white, and then some grays here. I'm not sure which ones I'll end up using. Definitely the black for sure, of course, but of course I will write down the ones that I do use, and you guys will know the pencils that we're using even before I do, technically. So let me just try and zoom in on her shirt here as close as we can get. I'm going to go with that. And we're gonna dive right in and we're going to start off with the black. So I'm going to start in under this ruffle here, and this area is going to be pretty shadowed. So I'm going to use a firm pressure and I'm going to kind of outline this shape and then lighten up my pressure and start fading it in. I'm just going to keep doing that until I'm fairly happy with it. The very outside lines are going to be fairly burnished, but there's going to be a little bit of room to play around with this middle part here. So now the fun part, when you get to figure out folds and stuff. So how do I want to do this? I want to put this area here in shadow behind where the fold of her sleeve comes out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm just going to shadow in the area that's around her sleeve, so I'm not going to follow it all the way down here. So I'm going to outline that area in a firmer pressure and then lighten it down. I swear, quitting smoking was worse than when I did smoke. Sorry guys, I just can't get rid of this morning cough. I didn't even cough that bad when I did smoke, and it seems that now that I quit, it's worse. Sure, it'll all go away in time. I think I've been quit for probably close to 6 months now. Okay, so we got that shadowed. I think I'm also going to bring the shadow down on this side and have this fold here be above this. So this will be in shadow. I'm going to bring it all the way down here and then fade it out again towards the same area. Put a little bit of a shadow here. Fade it out. I'm actually going to bring this all the way down to her little wrist cuff here. Same again here. I'm going to create a shadow on the left side of that line and fade it out. And I'm probably just going to keep going on the left side of these lines for the whole thing. Alright, just a minute, baby. I'll be right there.
Thank you. My water.
What is what?
Water.
The bag.
All that OT all poo poo.
Yes, it's a bag for cleaning up Kay's poop. Okay, and I'm also... oh gosh, that was terrible. I apologize. I am also going to put a shadow on her shirt just behind where this bolt is. Okay, next, let's move on to her sleeve, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put shadows on pretty much the left side of all of these lines. This one I'm going to start with a firm pressure, and I'm going to fade it out as I go down, and then of course fade it out to the side as well. Okay, this one I feel like this is actually going to be the right side that's just slightly in shadow, but not too much because the light's still kind of going to be hitting it. But I feel like it's going to be hitting it more on this little raised part here. I'm going to curve this line in towards where this part comes up, just to kind of make it look like it's connected. And then I'm going to go back to shading in the left side of the lines. This one is just going to be completely filled in black. And then we'll put a slight shadow just in on the right side of this one and fade it out. So now this little bit here, not sure how I want to do this. I'm going to just go alongside her bottom hand here. I'm just going to create kind of a dark shadow from there and then fade it out. And then I think I'm also just going to do the left side of each of these lines. And we're starting to get a little bit of a better look for her shirt. It looks a little bit more dimensional. I'm going to go help my kiddo for a minute and I'll be right back. Okay, so my kiddo wanted to show me that there's a big kitty outside and he's hunting birds. So now let's switch to 90% cool gray. And I'm just going to blend into the areas where we faded out the black. And I'm just going to bring it just slightly further. I'm not going to go too much with this. Just enough. I'm going to just leave this part alone for now. But I'm going to give it just enough to kind of help it switch to the next color. So I'm just using a light pressure. Just a bit like that. Okay, and next we'll switch to our 50% cool gray, which needs to be sharpened. Okay, so I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to start shading in on the area where we fade it out on the 90% gray. And I'm just going to bring it out a little bit further, but in these areas I'm not going to bring it all the way to the highlight. I want to kind of leave that. But here I'm going to start in the middle, I think. And I'm going to fade it out this way and fade it out this way. And it looks funny for now, but I'm hoping that it won't look so funny later on. Here again, on this little area here, I'm going to come in with 50% and I'm just going to fade it out towards this line. Again, leaving just a very, very thin white line there. I apologize for my child too. And in my defense, I am not a morning person and it is really early, so any of my little speech errors, I am blaming it on that. And some of these smaller areas are really hard to leave that white line, but even if you do go over that area with the 50%, as long as you're using a light pressure, it won't really matter. Okay, so I'm actually really liking how that looks. Now I'm going to go back in with the 90%, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a thin line here, just really thin. I'm just going to lightly go over it a couple times until I get it to where I like it, and then I'm just going to just very slightly fade it out into the lighter gray. And that kind of creates another ruffle there, which I think definitely really helps. I'm also going to come down into here with the cool gray, and I'm just going to finish burnishing up this little triangle here. You fell into another hole. Okay, well, you try to get out. I'll come help you in a little bit, alright? Okay, and now I think let's really work on our shadows. So let's go back in with our black. And let's really push it into the very edges of our shadows. So I'm using a fairly firm pressure, and I'm going to fade it out in all the places that we've already added it. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. So let's go in with our 90% and do the same thing. I'm going to use a fairly firm pressure and go about halfway over the black. And then as I get closer to the lighter gray, I'm going to start lightening up my pressure and fading it into that lighter gray. Now, this takes a lot of practice. Sometimes you really have to work on that pressure. Good job, baby! Especially if you've got like a big area like this, you don't really have to worry about lightening up your pressure too soon, but then when you move into a smaller area like this, you really got to be careful that you don't overlay your color. And it does take a little bit of practice, and even then, mistakes are still made. But for the most part, the more you do it, the better it gets. Okay, so I'm really liking how that's turning out now. So we're going to go back in with our 50%. And again, just do the same thing. Remembering to try and save some of the white near the edges where the highlight is going to be. And actually on this side here, the left side of this little fold that we made, I'm going to go completely in with the 50%. Because I want it to be not as much in shadow as this part of the fold, but I want it to be more shadowed than the highlight. So here, I'm going to come in on the right side of this little frill here, and then I'm going to fade it out towards the left side, because with this coming up, this part is going to be a little bit more in shadow, and the light is going to be hitting this part. I think, anyways, that's how I feel. I'm also going to take my 50% and I'm just going to kind of go over this just a little bit. Just give it a little bit of some lighter color, but that's probably the last layer I'm going to be able to fit in there. Oh, is it daytime again?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you just wait. It'll be nighttime again. Just be patient. Okay, so all these frills here, I'm going to use the 50% gray on the highlights, except for this last little one here. I'm going to leave a little bit of white here. So I think what we're going to use for our highlights will actually be the 30% cool gray. So I'm just going to give that a little sharpen here. And then I'm just going to go in with a fairly firm pressure, and I'm just going to build on some layers while I blend into the lighter gray. And for the most part, you don't really need too much of this. And there is her, the main part of her shirt completed. So I'm just going to pick out some colors for the frills and her little arm pieces, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've grabbed some pinks that I think will complement the roses and her face makeup. So we're going to start off with the dioxazine purple hue, and if you guys watch a lot of my videos, you probably know that this is one of my favorite pencils. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to outline the top line of these frills with the dioxazine purple hue. I'm not really going to fade it out, but I'm just going to lightly outline. But I am kind of using a firm pressure because this pencil just feels really hard. So okay, her sleeve cuffs I'm going to do underneath and outline the bottom line of those. And then this part, there's a little bit more room to work with, so I'm just going to slightly fade it up. Okay, and next I'm going to switch to the mulberry. And I'm actually going to go over the purple with that and then just bring it out slightly just so you can just barely see it. Don't mind my child, he's trying to gain more knowledge playing Minecraft and he's getting very frustrated with it. Oh, my poor child. I think that's looking pretty good. So now we'll switch to the hot pink. And pretty much do the same thing. We're going to pretty much just go over everything, and we're going to fade the hot pink closer to the edge there. We're going to try to leave a little bit of white in the spaces that we can, but if it ends up being colored in pink, that's totally fine too. I'm using a really firm pressure for this, so I don't plan on doing too many layers on this. We're going to go over with white and then we're going to be done. Okay, and last but not least, our white. And I'm just going to go over the pink. So just at the very ends of these frills. I'm not even sure if I put pink down here, but blending into the mulberry kind of made it pink. Okay, and there's her shirt finished. Now I'm playing around with the idea of having her shirt sparkle. If you guys haven't seen any of my other videos, the kind of sparkle I'm talking about is like this, where we actually use markers to make it look sparkly, but there's no sparkle or glitter actually on this page. And I've done this with a few of these pictures. What else have I done that on? Not her. Not her. This one, I also did it as well on her dress here, and you can see it makes it look super sparkly, but again, there's no texture, no actual sparkle on the page. So I'm going to let you guys decide whether we should make her shirt sparkly or just leave it how it is. Right now it kind of has a little bit of a velvet look to it, but I wouldn't mind making it sparkly either. It's up to you guys, let me know. So next we're going to be moving on to doing this little candle area here, and you guys will have to bear with me. There's just going to be too many colors going into the rest of this image, you know, aside from the background. So I'm not going to be using my color swatch cards, so you guys are going to have to listen for the colors that I'm using. Of course, all the colors that I use in this particular video will be at the beginning of the video. So you'll know the colors that we're using. You're just going to have to listen for what color I'm picking up and which color I'm using. I'll try and repeat it as much as possible without coming off as annoying, but yeah, hopefully it'll help us get it done. Okay, so let's start with the grapes, I think. And I'm going to be choosing colors kind of on the fly here, so let's make them green grapes, really bright green grapes. So for the base color, I think we'll use spring green and maybe apple green as a medium color, and we'll go with grass green as our darkest color. So I'm just going to put a very light layer of the spring green over all of these little grapes here. Now I'm switching to the grass green, and remember that our light source is right here, so all of our shadows are going to be on the left and the bottom. So I'm going with a fairly firm pressure on the bottom and then fading it up towards the top. And these are pretty small circles here, so I'm going to try and be as precise as possible. Okay, next moving on to the apple green. We are going to blend into the grass green and then fade out as we get closer to the tops of the grapes. This little grape here, I'm just going to fill that in since it's under this one. And same with these little two down here. And this one. There's not much room in there to really do much more shading in there. So next we'll pick up our spring green and we'll just finish filling in the tops of these grapes. Okay. So I hope you guys don't mind, but I'm also going to write down as we go. This is how I keep track of my colors, so I can tell you guys in the beginning of the video. And also as references, because I like to know all the colors that I used in a picture. So if I want a color combination that I've used before, or certain colors that I've used before, I can just refer back to my book. As you can see, I keep track of all, oops, sorry, bumped my camera. I keep track of all my pictures. Some of them I just write the colors down, but I've more taken to blocking in the colors as well, so you can see on a whole picture here, you can see how all the colors looked together, and I find that that is extremely helpful. So this is the one we're working on so far. What, baby?
Daytime day.
Oh, I know you don't like daytime, do you? There's no monsters during the day.
Mommy.
Hey, don't you whine at me. It'll be nighttime again soon, alright? Go play. Go on, turkey. Such a weird kid. Most kids like to play Minecraft to build stuff, and all he wants is the monsters. So I still feel like I need to put little orange accents in here. For some reason this picture just screams for orange, but I'm a little bit weary on doing anything orange because so much of her is already in a certain color palette, and I feel like adding orange details on the outside might wreck that, but I'm really fighting with myself on that. I was thinking of making the background orange, but I kind of wanted the background to be in like blacks and grays. I'm just going to quickly refer to a picture for the rest of this bowl to see what other people did with the fruit, because I'm not sure what's what. So I'll be right back. So I'm actually going to take my grass green and I'm going to color in this little circle as a grape as well. And then I'm going to switch to apple green, blend it in there, and then spring green to finish it off at the top, just like we did with the other ones. And, okay, so I want this to be a red apple. So, let's grab out some raspberry. And maybe some permanent red. And some poppy red. Okay. So I'm just going to go over the whole thing with poppy red, just really lightly. And then I'm going to come in with the raspberry, and again our light source is here, so it's going to be hitting the apple right here. So this is going to be our lightest area, and then everywhere that's kind of facing away from the light is going to be darker. So I'm using a really firm pressure to really get that color in. Again, I'm using the raspberry, and I'm just going to gradually fade it up. So now I'm going to switch to the permanent red, which I never noticed before, but I don't know if it wants to focus, but I got a line through it. It doesn't really look like I've used this one much either. Carbon, yes, Daddy will be home soon. So I'm just going to go in with the permanent red, and again using a firm pressure I'm going to blend it into the raspberry, and I'm going to fade it out as we get closer to the top of the apple. So then I'm going to switch to poppy red and pretty much do the same thing. I'm going to fade into the permanent red and then just color in the top here. Happy with that.
My door and hell.
Okay, I'm just going to relabel this. Ooh, that eraser sucks. As fruits, and I'm just going to put all the colors in here. So okay, so next we're going to go in with some orange colors, and I actually just decided that I am going to put in some orange details in around here. Just because I feel like I would do it in all purple since all her face paint is purple, and that could get really boring, so I feel like we definitely need some orange, not to mention that there's going to be some orange in this little light source from the candle anyways. So for this little orange here, I'm going to grab out yellowed orange and maybe Spanish orange. I'm only going to use 2 colors for this, so I'm going to lightly just color in with the Spanish orange. Ooh. And then I'm going to take my yellowed orange and I'm going to create a line all the way on the bottom and then curving up on the left here, and it'll fade out as we get closer to that light. I'm going to fade this upwards, but I'm also going to just put a little bit of shading in here on these lines. Next I'm going to go back in with the Spanish orange, and I'm just going to blend it all together and finish coloring the orange. I totally forgot to see what these little things were. I really don't know. Let's grab our grass green and just kind of make a line to the left of both this line and this line. And then I'm going to grab spring green and I'm just going to color that in. Then to lighten it up, I'm going to grab the Spanish orange and I'm going to go over that again just to kind of make it just a slightly different green than the grapes. Make it more of a yellowed green. Okay, and now let's grab some purple out of here. Maybe go with some black grape and some dark purple. So I'm going to go in with the black grape on the bottom and the left of this little shape here. And of course fade it up. And I'm going to switch to the dark purple. And I'm just going to finish coloring that in and blend it into the black grape. So So I don't want too many colors in this bowl, so I am going to go back in with my greens, and I'm going to grab the grass green, and again on the bottom, and just a little bit on the right of this line here, and I'm going to fade that up, and then I'm going to grab Spanish orange, and I'm going to blend that in there. Okay, and I'm going to quickly look at a reference for these to see if they're fruit before we move on. It looks like most people color this in as leaves, so I'm going to go in with the grass green on the right side of these and down that little line here. And then I'm going to switch to the spring green and just finish filling it in. So there's a lot of green in that bowl. You just write down the other colors we've used here, which was black grape, dark purple, and our oranges were Spanish orange and that orange. Now, usually I would not write down all these individual little colors for stuff like that. Unless I really liked the color combination, I would just put it into my color book. Or I should say my color combination book. But for the sake of the video, I like to give you guys a list of the colors, so I just gotta keep track of all of them. Hopefully throughout the rest of this, most of the same colors are going to be used. So let's move on to the bowl, I think. And for that, I kind of wanted to make it look like a navy blue. So I'm going to grab out Indian Throne Blue. I'm going to grab black. And I'm going to grab, I think, Copenhagen Blue. So I'm going to start in with some black here and down here, as well as just under the lip of this bowl. Now I'm being mindful of the designs. So this is going to be colored in, this is going to be colored in, these are going to be colored in, these little things and all these little pieces. But everywhere where there's kind of blank space is going to be colored as the bowl. So I'm just going to go under the lip of this rim with the black. I'm going to fade it down a bit. I'm going to go under this area with the black too, I think. And then I'm going to switch to the Indian Throne Blue, and I'm going to go over the black and just bring it out a little bit. I'm using a fairly firm pressure. These blues just don't seem to lay color down very well. I'm also going to take the Indian Throne Blue and I'm going to do the underside of the lip of this bowl here. And then we'll fade upwards. So next I'm going to switch to the Copenhagen Blue and I'm just going to pretty much go over almost everything down here, just to kind of blend it all in together. And I'm using a light to firm pressure. Lighter over the areas that are already colored in, and then more firm in the areas that haven't been. And then I'll do the same thing here. Just going to go over that Indian Throne blue and then bring it up to the top. And I don't think I'm going to put another color in. I'm going to leave it just like that. So there's like a little bit of white specks left at the very top because I didn't press down all the way, because I wanted to fade it out a little bit. And I'm liking how that's looking, so I'm going to leave it just like that. Okay, now aside from the candle, we'll do that first, I think. What'd you do, babe? Okay, if all you're gonna do is whine, then don't even bother trying to explain it to me. Little man woke up a little grumpy. I'll be right back.
Grumpy.
Sorry about that. This little dude is the reason I'm up so early. He just refused to sleep to his normal time, and I don't know if he's going through a growth spurt or what. He's just happy one minute and then just angry and upset the next. Okay, so thinking about it, I think I'm actually going to use the colors of her face makeup for the candle. And then the only new colors that we'll really be adding are the ones for the background here. But other than that, I think, or sorry, not the background, but the light from the candle. But other than that, I think we're going to be sticking with the colors that we've already got down. So, let's see here, what did we use for her face makeup? Okay, so let's start with, do we still have that out? No, I guess we would have put that away. Let's start with the dioxazine purple hue. And I'm going to start kind of outlining these little areas. I'm going to leave a little bit of white here. I'm going to outline this area underneath here. I'm going to put an outline where the candle is coming out from behind the fruit. Also going to bring the purple down on the side here as well. On the left side of this line, I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more. And then also the left side of this line. And again, I'm just going to bring it down just a little bit more. Also going to kind of outline this little drop of wax here and here to create some shadow behind it. And I'm just going to keep going over those shadows a little bit just until I'm happy with the way that they're looking. Which I think is about there. And then we'll go in with our dark purple, which we still have out. And I'm just going to slightly go over the dioxazine purple hue. And then just fade it out a little bit. Okay, and then let's grab the process red, I think. And we're just going to color over all the little spaces that haven't been colored yet. And I'm actually going to kind of blend into everything using a firm pressure. And then that is what we're going to be left with when we're done. Of course, we'll be going back in later on and adding some white highlights. But for the most part, that's it. So while we have these colors, let's grab our dark purple and these little flower things here. I'm just going to outline one side of it, fade it in, and then go back in with the process red and kind of blend it all together. And let's also do the bottom part of this area here. And just a little bit in this little corner. And then back in with the process red. Sorry, that was the dark purple. Then we'll go back in with the process red and kind of just blend it together. I think that's enough purple on the bowl. Not quite enough though. Let's go back in with the dioxazine purple hue, and I think I'm going to put just a little bit on the bottom of this little arch. And I want these little things to be orange, and this one and this one. So I think these little dots here for the most part will leave white. This one little triangle here, and yeah, we'll do this one too. I'm just going to put dioxazine purple hue just along where the triangles come out from behind that lip. And then I'm going to grab the dark purple and I'm just going to blend it into it. Just like that. Okay, and so those are colors we've already used. A little bit stuck on this light here. Okay, I'd like to use just straight up orange for sure. And maybe I really wish that the Prismacolors had a better selection of oranges. Orange is definitely not my favorite color, but they make it even more so. Not my favorite color. Let's grab some pale vermilion, I guess. And again, we'll go with the yellowed orange. We also have Spanish orange. Let's go with that. And then maybe some deco yellow, I think. So let me just quickly write these colors down. Okay, so I've got orange, pale vermilion, yellowed orange, Spanish orange, and yellow. Okay. So first we're going to be taking, I think, the orange. Let me see how the orange and the pale vermilion are beside each other quick here. Okay, no, let's take the pale vermilion first. So what I want to do with this is I'm just going to start kind of going in on both sides of these little lines that Hannah's drawn in.
Hi, Mommy.
Hi, baby. And then I'm going to fade them out.
What do you?
I'm just coloring. What are you doing?
I don't know.
Okay, don't touch. Are you supposed to be in here?
What do you mean, chopper?
It's not lunchtime yet.
I searching.
Well, you have your cup. You can go get some water. Maybe when I'm done, you can have a juice box, okay?
Okay.
Still using the pale vermilion and still just going along the outside of these lines. And I don't want to go too far out on this side because my plan was originally to have the very outside of this as the deco yellow, but we might not be able to do that now. Just have to see how it goes. This is very messy, sorry guys. Okay. So now I'm going to go in with the orange. And I'm just going to bring it up from the pale vermilion. And then also fade it out. What? It's all good, honey. I'm gonna come in from behind her head a little bit there and color that in, I think, too. And we'll just keep doing that. Again, I'm not really pressing very hard. Just enough to get a good layer of that color in. Okay, we're definitely not going to be able to fit the deco yellow in there, but I think I've changed my mind anyways. We're going to use the deco yellow for the flame to kind of make it just look a little bit different from the lights. Okay, next here I've got yellowed orange. And I'm just going to lightly go over both of the previous colors. I'm going to bring it out a little bit. I'm going to press fairly firm in this corner here underneath this little line. I'm going to burnish that with the yellowed orange. I'm just going to maybe burnish this line that comes up along our hair too. And then fade it out a little bit better so the colors match. I'm just going to kind of keep doing this same thing. areas that have a little bit of a more harsher line, I'll use a little bit of a firmer pressure to kind of blend it out. And now I'm going to switch to the Spanish orange, and using a firm pressure, I am going to go over everything. And I will use as many layers as it takes to completely burnish what we've colored so far. I somehow picked up a little bit of green there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I can. Oh, no. I made a mistake there. I used this orange to color in over the green, and that is where that green came from. So when I turned my pencil over to get to a sharper point, I accidentally transferred the green onto there. Thankfully, it's not too noticeable though. Yes, you should always check the tips of your pencils to make sure that they don't have any other color on them. Okay, I really like how that's looking, so I think I'm going to take the pale vermilion and just color in the very tip of the inside of this flame. And then I'm going to switch to the orange and fade it down towards it. Then I'm going to take the yellowed orange and just kind of go around that little line there. I'll take the Spanish orange, just kind of fade into it. I want to leave a little bit of white on the outside of this whole flame, and that is where our final color, the deco yellow, is going to go. So I'm going to put the deco yellow just on the outsides of this little flame here. I'm going to color over the black line too. Just to kind of make it look like it's really glowing. So I don't know if I'm going to do these pieces yet. I mean, technically it does count as the part of the candle, but I'm just going to have to decide whether I want to use the oranges or other colors for that. But we will finish off the bowl, and I'm going to pick up pale vermilion, and I'm going to pop a little bit on the left side of this little line here, the underside. Oh no, sorry, those circles were supposed to be white. Okay, we'll do this half circle and that orange, and this circle here and here will be white. Good job, baby. Oh, and I forgot to color that in too. Okay, what did we use there? I wanted to use dark purple. So let's take our dark purple in and finish this little arch off. And then I'm going to come in just above the line where these little half circles start. Again, I'm using the pale vermilion. And then I'm going to switch to yellowed orange. I'm going to finish those off. And we'll leave those two little circles because I'm going to go back in on the finishing details to finish those off. But for the most part, I think she's pretty much done. For this part, I mean. Of course, she's not actually done, but I'm liking how she's turning out. So now I'm thinking that we'll do little bits of purple in
be my horsey.
I'll help you ride a horse. I'm pretty much done here, kiddo. You go play for a little bit longer, okay?
Okay.
So we will do little bits of purple in the background pieces here. But I'm not going to do too much. I want most of the focus of the purple to be in this area. So we'll actually be doing little bits of purple. We'll do some more of this navy blue just to kind of tie it in. And little bits of orange and pink, I think. And that will be it. Just a little spot there. So the next part 4, will be the background. And then we'll come back for the final kind of like half week, I guess, of October. The final Sunday of October, I should say, to finish do the finishing touches, add some white spots, and that's always my favorite part because that's when the picture really comes to life. And of course, in the final parts, I am going to attempt to put white in her hair, which I'm super excited for that. And super nervous. So anyways, I will see you guys in the next part of